With the climate being so high on the political agenda, aviation is never far from the headlines. Now, we're all being told we're going to have to fly less, and some of the people telling us this include the actress Dame Emma Thompson, who famously flew first class back from New York to London to take part in a climate change protest, and the Swedish teenage activist Greta Thunberg, of course, sailed to New York rather than fly because it would be better for the environment. Now, in no way am I attacking the young lady, because the more I see of her, the more I think she's being manipulated. But is it really better for the environment to sail to New York rather than to fly there? Because firstly, if I want to go to New York, I can't take 2 fucking weeks to get there. That's how long it took her. What I do is get on an aircraft, in 8 to 9 hours I'd land in New York, with several hundred other people all going the same way. Whereas this yacht sailed for a fortnight to deliver one person. So that's Greta and all the crew, and let's be blunt, these are people who are all eating, sleeping, pissing and shitting, so they need all their supplies for 2 weeks. And once they're using the toilet, it's a boat, so it will have a chemical toilet that will break down the excrement but still dump chemicals into the sea. Then the vessel itself. Now, it might be covered in fucking solar panels, but someone had to make all those solar panels. And it's a £15 million racing yacht. It serves no practical purpose. It can't carry lots of passengers or freight. It's essentially a millionaire's plaything. Something that will spend most of its life looking pretty in a marina. So, yeah, no matter how carbon neutral it is now it's been built, it will have cost countless man hours and materials and energy to build the fucking thing. Another thing, which isn't mentioned much about this vessel, is it got to New York in bang on 2 weeks. Now, people have been sailing across the Atlantic for years, but there's a lot of variables. If the wind drops, it takes you longer. So how did it get there on time? Well, if you look at the specifications, something you'll see is that whenever the wind drops, this boat turns on its massive diesel engine. Again, on a flight you've got several hundred people all travelling in the same direction, about 550 miles an hour. Whereas this yacht, let's say that for the 14 days it was at sea, it needed to use the diesel for an hour a day. That's 14 hours of running a massive marine diesel engine for one person. I'll put money on it, the carbon footprint was higher to get her across the Atlantic than just sticking her on a plane. And to top it off, when the boat finally got to New York, the boat's owner had to fly 2 men in to get it back. So rather than sticking a young woman on an aircraft, they dicked about for 2 weeks in the Atlantic and then flew twice as many people out there as they would have needed to. Now, the reason I'm on about aviation is that this week, Mrs. Disgruntled and I are off on holiday. Now, I enjoy flying, but I don't do a lot of it, and I've been getting a lot of stick from climate change types. But when I fly, it's because I work, in fact, we both work bloody hard all year. And we just want to get away for a bit. And I'm not getting on an aircraft thinking, yes, this will melt the polar ice caps. And I don't spend my holiday time kicking baby seals to death. And I think that's true for most people. And crucially, I'm at work. I haven't got time to go down to London to glue myself to a fucking bus. But one Japanese airline has come up with a new service which I think every airline should adopt immediately. Because when you book with this airline, when you're picking your seat, checking in, it shows you how many children are on the plane and where they're sitting. That way you can avoid, because my pet fucking hate on an aircraft is people who bring kids on. I've spoke about this before. Now, if I've got onto an aeroplane with a football rattle and an air raid siren, other than how I managed to get them through security, people would look at me and go, what a fucking arsehole. But parents were told we're meant to sympathise with them, but I don't. You are bringing a young person onto a plane which you know at any moment could lose their shit and ruin the start or end of everyone else's holiday. But I think this Japanese airline could go a bit further, because if they know how many kids are on the plane, they could then opt to seat them all together. And then if you've ever been in a recording studio, you'll know that sound deadening stuff. Why not have every plane have a few bits of that, just to box them in? Because I think that would be wonderful for the other passengers on the plane. I mean, you wouldn't deafen it out completely, but I'd like the idea that if I was on a a flight, I could take my headphones out and just hear kids screaming in the background. It made me feel all warm to go, oh, they're having a fucking miserable time, like they've inflicted on other people for years. But we're not flying with a Japanese airline, we're actually flying with Scandinavian Air because we're off to Sweden. And a lot of people have said to me, oh, that's a strange holiday destination. Not many Brits go there, and that's part of the fucking reason we're going. Because as much as I hate hearing kids on planes, the thing I despise when I go abroad is hearing pissed British people at 11 o'clock in the morning. If you're a Brit, you will feel my pain. This, oh, where do you get a fucking English breakfast from? And you think, well, fucking England, you should have stayed there, you dickhead. So I'm going to Sweden. Stockholm, a place full of art and sophistication and culture, so I'm unlikely to go into a restaurant and be sat next to a Pits bloke in a Liverpool shirt.